Hello traders and welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 112. It's Iliya here, and as always I'm super excited to have you on my channel. And as you probably know, in this video we're gonna have a look at the market, how it developed this week, what opportunities did we have, and what we can potentially expect for the upcoming week. So this week was actually a monster week. We had some lovely moves, some clear trending markets, so I really hope you actually capitalize on all those moves. I am still on my summer holiday, so I'm not really into the market, but of course the markings are there. I take some small trades here and there, and I'm gonna try to show you as much as possible and give you a little bit of a hint of actually what kind of videos I'm about to post. And yes, currently we still have 7 hours and 30 minutes until the market closes, but I'm recording this video right now on a Friday afternoon so that I can actually have it on for Saturday. So guys, if you're new to this channel, it's all about trading. I share this weekly outlook and setups every Saturday, and once per week I'm gonna be sharing an educational piece of content and a trade setups breakdown video of the trades I trade and all my breakdowns. So make sure you're subscribed, turn on the notification bell. And before we start, I want to mention that I've been trading some cryptos, and I do it with Forex.com. It's an amazing broker that has an amazing initiative. They have a commission-free account, but if you choose the eco account, every single lot that you trade goes towards planting trees, okay? So I really think that they are one-of-a-kind brokers, so make sure to check them out. Link will be down in the description, and if you already did it, let's see what do we have for this week. Alright, let's start by having a look at the DXY. So on the weekly time frame, it is rather tricky because I was expecting a bullish dollar this week, and we started a little bit bullishly, but right now you can see that we're closing overall bearish with some massive sell momentum, and also the market failed to violate this high right here. So currently the question is this pin bar really a rejection candle, so the market is going to continue down, or is it just a pullback right now to create a higher low formation to potentially continue higher? So this is currently the biggest question, but of course we're going to start working our way down to the lower time frames. And as you can see on the daily, what I also don't like is if you kind of have an arrow right there, or yeah, just a ray, you can see that we created a perfect double top. So usually double tops are also means of liquidity. That means that potentially the market is going to take them out, because right here we have a pool of stop losses, and eventually the market makers or whoever they are, they're going to target that level. Okay, so currently in terms of the daily time frame, we had this massive sell-off, then we have this massive buy, the market stopped right there, and then right now we're actually on Friday right now after the news, we're having this pullback. So actually this bearish move being created on Friday makes me think that this is just profit taking, just a pullback in order for the market for the next week to continue going higher. And as long as we maintain this bullish order flow, I'm gonna continue looking for longs, and this is gonna be my level, which is probably gonna disappear right now, but I'm gonna drop it on the 4-hourly, and then dropping onto the 4-hourly, we can see that again. Why is the market pulling back like this? Well, because it got a little bit too high. Okay, so if you remember this big wick, I was telling you that potentially I would love to see 50% mitigated on that wick, but it didn't come. We pushed all the way up right there, then we created this little pullback. So again, if you just follow the structure, this right here was your high low formation. We nicely tapped inside, we created some long opportunities right there, but then the market just pulled back with this strong momentum to the downside. If you even drop to the hourly time frame, you can see that we broke a lot of structure with this massive move to the downside. So what the market just did, it pulled back, it created a lower high, and also if you start dropping even lower, you're gonna start seeing the shift that occurred right here and your potential short setup right there. So basically, keeping everything simple, right now demand has failed and we are into a supply market, meaning that we are in a downtrend. Okay, so where is my lower high? Well, my lower high will be this whole kind of range, okay, because the market pulled back, failed to break higher, and right now this is our lower high formation. But in terms of daily time frame, make sure to also write down your zones. Okay, so this is our daily demand, and currently this is our 4-hourly lower high. So what I want to see right now is how the market is going to behave between those two levels. Okay, a couple of things could happen. We can first initiate a pullback to potentially create a lower high right there and then head for the demand, or the market might give us maybe just a little bit of pullback, tap into the demand, and from there I'm going to be looking for the shift and then to potentially continue higher. okay? So DXY right now, very crucial situation. I'm really curious to see how the market is gonna get inside this demand. I'm definitely gonna start looking for longs as soon as we tap into the demand. But if the market first taps into the supply, I'm gonna be looking for shorts, because basically if you drop our range from where the move started, which is down there, all the way to the upside, the market needs to drop to some Fibonacci levels. And as you can see, we're just about to tap the 50%. So everything goes as planned. Let's see how the market is gonna dip below the 50%. Maybe you can also trigger your normal FIP. Have a look, 61.8, 705, 786 are exactly this zone. So I'm quite excited to see. Let me know what you guys think on the dollar. I'm overall buy bias, but of course, if we first have that pullback, I'm gonna be looking for sells. Let's have a look at Euro USD, which had some amazing opportunities throughout this week. So basically, if you remember from my previous outlook as well, I was targeting this low, and very similarly to the DXY, we created like a textbook double bottom right there. Even if I just zoom in, you can see, okay, it's a little bit higher, but yeah. So currently, if you also look on the weekly time frame, we had this little pullback, lower high formation. Currently, this could be a lower low, and right now we're potentially pulling back for a lower high. And of course, if the DXY also finds support from that demand, we can potentially see also Euro USD go higher. I'm not gonna go into building up the whole kind of higher time frame analysis, because I've done it many times. Make sure to also be following the previous outlook and setups as well. But dropping onto the daily, you can see that today was actually the big mover. So we started, where did we start? Right here, we started with a bearish move. We found support right there. We had this bullish day that showed us that maybe the market is finding support and is about to pull back. Why? Because we had this massive push to the downside that created a lower low. Basically, if you remember, I told you that these lows right there are a beautiful target. So we took out that target, and what is the market doing right now? It is pulling back, okay? To potentially, let's say, I would love to see this level being fulfilled, which is pretty similarly to the DXY. And if I drop right there, you're gonna see that this right here is the last lower high before the massive drop to the downside. And have a look how interesting it is. Like, we created this push to the downside, we created this range where we had some opportunities, drop, lower high, drop, accumulation, push to the upside, that breaks the structure right here. Okay, so basically from that moment on, you start looking for longs, because you see that the market is introducing a lot of buy pressure, breaking structure, also leaving a little bit of empty space right there. So the market perfectly came to tap right there and to fill around 50% of this empty space. If you do it like this, if you do equilibrium like this, have a look. So we perfectly tapped inside right here, and then we had this massive bump to the upside. So I want to show you a lot of opportunities, but I'm actually gonna do it on a separate video, because and I'm gonna break down everything like this. Like, this is Monday. We had a couple of trades right there, small trades, but usually once I do the weekly outlook, I wanna focus more on forecast rather than showing my trades. Tuesday as well, lovely short right here. So guys, let me know down in the comments, would you like to see me break down all of my trades like every single week, maybe on Thursday, maybe on Friday or something like this? But basically, again, as I told you, there is that low, there is where was that break of structure, possibly this one, maybe. Then we went to retest right here. Where is it? Okay, I kind of got lost right here, but basically, as there is the 11th of August, beautiful long opportunities, then we have right here a long and a short. So I'm not gonna go into detail right now, simply because I haven't traded those positions that I'm showing you right now, but I'm gonna do a separate video like this to show you all the opportunities that were presented. And of course, once I get back into the market, I'm gonna show you all of my trades as well. So basically, going back to the Euro USD analysis again, where is my high low formation right now? Exactly right here. So what do I expect is to see how the market is going to develop between the supply and the demand. So again, very similarly to the DXY, we can have first a pullback into demand, from where I'm gonna go long into supply, and then potentially from the supply we can potentially create the lower high and head lower for our weekly targets. Okay, but of course, if the market continues to push higher, if it just gives us a little pullback push, then we can potentially take some longs into that area, and then potentially again I'm gonna be looking for the short. So as you can see, overall long term I am short on EU, but I really want to see how the market is actually gonna behave. Are we gonna first pull back to demand to take some beautiful longs, or are we first gonna tap into supply to take some longer term shorts? Okay, so this is my outlook on EU, guys. You have to keep it extremely simple. Higher low formation was created, higher high, we keep longing until we reach our next area of interest, which is this daily and full hourly supply. And then from there, it's a completely different story. And always make sure to flow with the market, because no matter what I say right now on Saturday or on Friday, the market can open on Monday and just be extremely different from what I said. So then you have to use the skill of actually adapting to the market conditions and knowing your setups and knowing your patterns. Okay, so that is EU. Overall short-term long bias, but then long-term short bias. So let's see how it's gonna play out, and I hope it's gonna play out beautifully to catch some amazing opportunities. Nothing much happening on Euro Yen. As I told you from the previous week, when EU and UJ move in the opposite way, usually EJ is just stuck at one place. And as you can see, we're just having this inside bar, which is inside the previous weekly candle. So what I usually do in situations like this is I drop the range of the previous weekly candle, and usually you can expect a breakout. So that is what we can expect for the week ahead. But as you can see, 5 days of just choppiness right here. Of course, there are opportunities if you drop to a lower time frame, but it's not clear. Like, to be extremely honest, guys, once I open this chart like this, it doesn't make sense to me. And when it doesn't make sense, what do? You skip on the next chart. Okay, so nothing too much to comment on Euro JPY. Even if I try to find like the structure, it's a consolidation. Okay, there is your range. So what I do in this situation, when the range is not entirely clear, yes, if you drop to the hourly time frame, you can see that most recently we had this drop to the downside, pullback, lower high formation, lower low, then we again pushed higher, but we still are stuck inside this range. So what I need to see on this pair is some clear direction. Okay, either a push to the upside, stay above, retest, continuation higher, or a break below, retest, continuation lower. Okay, as simple as that. But EJ is a pair that I wouldn't touch right now until we develop some clear structure. So let's leave it on the side and just wait for some clear price action, because there are pairs that are just unreal. So when you see a market like this, focus on the other pairs and make sure to capitalize on them until EJ, for example, gets better. Lovely price action this week on AU. So as you can see on the weekly time frame, we broke the previous weekly high right there to take out the liquidity, and then we started pumping to the upside, which of course the move overall happened on Friday, something like this. But of course we were kind of flicking between supply and demand, and I'm gonna show you actually what is happening. So the biggest question on AU right now is, are we really going to retest this weekly area, or is this enough to create like the monthly higher low? Right? Because if I drop the FIP on the monthly time frame from here to here, you can see that we actually retested the 61.8 and the 705. Okay, so that is an absolutely golden area, which is more than enough for the market to actually reverse. Okay, so let's start having a little bit second thoughts about taking shorts right now. And as you can see, what is also important to have a look on the daily is that we are in an overall accumulation phase. So right now the market is starting to fail to break below, it's starting to create a consolidation, and even right now, as I drop to the 4-hourly time frame, you can see that we're really seeing some clear signs of a shift. Okay, so let me show you the battle between supply and demand. It is really interesting what is happening right now on AU. Because we created this little level right there, which is the lower high formation. We massively pushed to the downside, pull back, a lot of short opportunities on the lower time frames right there, pushing to the downside, breaking the structure to the downside, pulling back, lower high formation, beautiful short opportunities on the lower time frame. Then we pushed lower, but we failed to break below the last lower low. And then we massively impulse to the upside, breaking all the structure on the left. Okay, so basically this is a beautiful footprint of the market telling us that the momentum is really kicking into the upside. And we also have this shift. This is the MSS formation that I teach in my free market structure course. But why did the market stop right there? Look on the left. It is this lower high, and this is also a beautiful supply area. But I want you to pay attention to something else as well. Have a look how much, so from the low to the high, it took the market 4 hours, 8 hours to go there. And then it took the market 1 day or even more to pull back to the downside. So that means that the momentum, and you can see we have a massive pump up and then a very nice complex correction to the downside. So basically then what the market did is it went back to retest that newly created demand to give us a beautiful long opportunity. And actually today, this one is right now playing out. So what are the expectations on AU is to create a new higher high and to really see if the market is actually going to reverse and start creating a nice uptrend. Because as you can see from the monthly, from the weekly time frame, we're starting to see some bullishness. So I'm really interested to see how actually this one is gonna go. But this is basically AU summed up. You can see how simple it is. It's just a battle between supply and demand. And of course, my team is just smashing AU right now from everywhere. But basically a lot of great opportunities. One short right here, a short right here, push to the downside, that's the fail. That then we push higher. Then as we enter into the supply right there, we start taking shorts. You take shorts all the way down. Then you participate in this accumulation phase, which can maybe be a little bit tricky, but if you know the patterns that you're trading, you're always gonna get it right. Well, that's a big lie. You're not always going to get it right, but of course you're going to diminish your chances of getting it wrong a lot of times, okay? Because the thing with having an edge is that you reduce the chances of being wrong and increase the chances of being right. And of course, it depends on your patience and the quality of your setups. But yes, if you really know what you're looking at, if you have your precise models, you're not gonna have a lot of losses, okay? But basically right now, my expectations for AU is to create a higher high. What is the plan of action? We'll basically drop to a lower time frame and we can have a couple of things. We can maybe just embark on the journey to create a higher high, or we can first pull back to create a higher low formation, give us a little bit of a shift on the lower time frames, and then to continue higher. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna also monitor the hourly time frame right now for potential scale-in opportunities to potentially take a long, or if the market just continues to push higher, then of course I'm gonna be looking for the pullback and a continuation higher. Okay, so that is my outlook on AU. And if we have a look on AJ, not really clear. Weekly time frame, wick up, wick down. Daily time frame, nothing too much. Again, seeing that little shift from the downside occurring right there makes me think if this is also gonna start pumping to the upside. 4 hourly time frame is actually just tapping into the demand, which is really good, okay? Because if you simply follow the structure again, like yes, from the downside right there, we impulse into the highs, we kind of broke this structure, then we pulled back in a very complex way, and then we impulse to the upside, which is a great confirmation and a new higher high, okay? So basically we're overall in a bullish market, and right now the market has pulled back all the way down, and we're accumulating right now at the downside to potentially push up, okay? But that really depends on UJ as well. So basically I want to be long bias on AJ, because as I told you, we have a structure break to the upside right here. The market is pulling back, it's accumulating, but how I'm going to approach this one is by dropping a time frame lower, okay? Because the time frames are exactly the same. What you see on the hourly, you're gonna see on the 4 hourly, you're gonna see on the monthly, you're gonna see on the 1 minute, you're gonna see on the 15 seconds, okay? So what I wanna see right now is the market turn from bearish to bullish on the hourly time frame, okay? So what I need to see is the market to strongly impulse to the upside to show me that the buyers are in, then to pull back, then to give me the reversal pattern in the lower time frames, and then to potentially take it higher, okay? So as simple as that. 4 hourly time frame is here, demand area, looking for the shift on the hourly, and then to potentially take it higher. Exactly the same as AU, and AU is already making the move, which means that AJ should usually follow up after AU. So let's see, long bias on the Aussies. Let's see how this one is going to play out. Similar price action on NZD/USD, and it's really interesting again, the battle between supply and demand. But again, is this market about to head higher right now? And again, a little detail to point out to your attention is the weekly inside bar that we're having. And if you remember in a previous pair that I mentioned, I think it was EJ, when you have an inside bar, mark your previous weekly highs and weekly lows, because usually we can expect a breakout into the upcoming week. So that's some really nice confluence to build up. And if you have a look, even this pair on the daily, just to find my brush, is starting to shift the structure. And I think I've said this before. We had this liquidity pool, the market dropped inside, immediate reaction, pullback. There is your MSS formation, the shift. Push, pullback, higher low, higher high, higher low, and as you can see, we actually respected this higher low formation, and right now potentially we are about to move higher and to create a higher high. This same formation you see on the daily, drop to the 4 hourly, and you're gonna see it exactly the same. There it is. The market was perfectly bearish. We tapped inside this little weekly demand on the left. Push to the upside, still bearish, okay? This is a lower high, so this is actually a beautiful short opportunity because we're still short, okay? You take the short, you go into profit, but then you see this massive impulse to the upside, okay? So that is your first change of trend on the 4 hourly. Well, it's not your first, but it just means that the market has turned from a bearish pullback right there to a bullish push right now. So just from supply shifts to demand. And as you can see, again, you can still utilize the last supply to take shorts, because you can see if I just take this wick, you can see that the market never broke above that wick. It was really nicely respected, but a lot of people will take a short from here and expect the market to just dump, failing to recognize that the market is starting to change into demand even from the weekly and the daily, and the 4-hourly is just moving together right now. It's fractal, okay? And basically very similar to AU, we had this newly created demand right there with this massive push to the upside, very nice corrective pullback, accumulation phase right there. Your long opportunities are on all of those wicks. Of course, if you got in on the last one, you would have been a king, and right now we are pushing into the highs. And the expectations are, as I said, maybe even a weekly high, but the first expectation will be a high on the 4-hourly. And if this 4-hourly gets broken, then potentially we can even target the weekly. So that also means that the DXY should be bearish for a lot of time. So definitely, I think we should give it some time. And of course, guys, I'm an intraday trader, so I basically even only trade the hourly. Of course, being aware of the 4-hourly, but I'm only trading the hourly nowadays as well. Because you can see once the hourly pushes and then as it starts to change structure, I take shorts. And then as I see, as it falls into this area, I'm going to start taking longs. Shorts right here, shorts right here, shorts right here. Maybe longs after the market shifts the structure right there. I'm going to take a long from here. Fails to push, cool. Break even or loss. I don't care. Just keep following the flow, okay? And basically the plan of action for NZUSD is to have a little bit of a pullback similar to AU, a shift of structure, and then a continuation up. So basically on the hourly, there is that little pause right there. So if this one doesn't respect, I'm going to be looking for this whole range right here. But more or less, I'm going to be looking for a pullback. And if you find it hard to determine the level for a pullback, drop your FIP, make it just with a 50%, wait for the market to dip below 50%, and then start looking for longs. That's the best tip I can give you, because literally it's gonna increase your win rate by 50%, because you're only gonna be taking trades as they drop below the 50% Fibonacci level. And basically being long on NU means that NJ should also be looking like longs. If I just jump on the weekly time frame, again, nothing too much to extract from here. Dropping onto the daily, same thing. We had this low pullback, still a lower high, don't get me wrong. Pullback, failed to break lower. There is your MSS formation, push to the upside, break of structure, higher low, high, pullback, higher low formation. Can we expect the market to continue higher? Possibly, yes. Okay, so then dropping onto the 4-hourly, after we build up that story, you can see that we created a beautiful long-bodied, like when you see a big sell-off like this and then a massive buy, usually this bearish bullish formation, this is a fake. Okay, this is a fake, and this is when the banks are selling in order to buy. I also call it a sell to buy. Okay, we broke structure to the upside. Right now we're pulling back exactly into this area. So pretty much I'm really interested into longs right now on NZD/JPY. But what is the plan for action is to either have an hourly break of structure right there, or maybe to have a push into the lows again and then to see again that shift of structure and then to potentially target the higher highs, okay? Or first of all, if we see this break of structure, wait for the retest and again we can continue higher. So as you can see, the NZDs and also the AUDs are looking pretty bullish. So let's see how this week is gonna open. Make sure to flow with the market and let's see how it's gonna play out. USD/JPY is still quite tricky to actually read, but after today's massive bearish introduction, we can maybe throw a little bit of a forecast and potentially we can see it actually go lower. So this week we started pretty bullish. We threw this big wick right there, and right now we're really strongly headed down. So basically this means that the market was being bought right there to trick buyers into the market, and right now seeing this massive sell-off makes me kind of think about the long bias that I had. So basically we had this push to the downside. Again, as you can see, the market was strongly bought to the upside. But if you pay careful attention, of course, and if you studied my free course, did the market ever close above this lower high formation right here? No, it didn't. It just wicked above it, and right now we're massively introducing this selling pressure. So again, it's a little bit 50-50 because usually this is an equal lower high formation. So once you have something like this, okay, it's an equal lower high. Why is it an equal lower high? Because it broke the structure to the downside, and basically usually your lower high should be somewhere right here. But if it comes to retest the previous lower high, then that makes it equal. And this one even faked above it. And what could happen in formations like this is you might have a head and shoulders. Okay, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. left shoulder, head, right shoulder. So again, a little bit 50-50, and usually, again, as I always tell you, make sure to flow with the market, have an overall hard time frame bias, but don't forget to flow with the market, because right now you wouldn't love to actually take a buy after this massive sell, okay? Of course, we're tapping into this demand right now and we can see a reaction, but seeing this big bearishness, I would think that next week I might actually go for the shorts. Again, if you have a look, there is our new supply. Like you can see, the market made this high, pulled back, accumulated for is it a couple of days? So we started right here and we ended up, yeah, you can see for a day and 16 hours we were building up the orders, and then the banks clicked sell and we just plummeted to the downside. Okay, so basically two things that could happen. I'm also gonna drop my overall range. The market is just tapping into the 50% right now, so it might react from these little pauses right there, or we might jump into this big sell to buy. Remember what I told you on NJ or NU? This is a big sell-off and then a massive push to the upside. Okay, so this is a really strong demand area. So basically the plan for action is to just follow those key levels right here. Possibly a pullback, lower high formation, take a short, okay? Maybe a break, still continuing lower, take a short. Tap inside the demand, start looking for the longs, okay? But basically, guys, those are the three levels that I'm monitoring right now. I do not expect this level to be a big deal. Maybe we can even move it to this one because that is the next stop for price. And if the market does not really stop from here and reverse, then potentially we're going down. And if this level doesn't hold, then potentially we are actually in a reversal phase to the downside, okay? So again, the two setups that I'm gonna be looking at is longs from this demand, shorts from this supply. It really depends how the market is going to open and the opportunities that it's going to present. But this is my outlook on UJ. Again, I don't want to tell you guys right now that I'm short bias because I could be taking longs from here. Okay, so let's see which direction is going to take out first. If we first pull back to the upside, shorts. If we first tap into the demand, look for longs, but be aware of take profits, because again, even if we take a long from here, we can have a pullback, lower high, and still continue lower. So always take partials, okay? So that is UJ. Let's have a look at the GBPs. All right, let's have a look at the GBPs starting from GU. So it is a little bit harder right now as well to figure out the directional bias on this pair. And what we can see this week, we're having an overall pin bar or doji or whatever you like to call it, but it's a rejection from the downside. And if I drop a little arrow right there or array, you can see that we kind of came to retest this week. Not perfectly, but we still retested, okay? So the biggest question right now is, where is GU headed? Well, potentially we might be about to head higher and to maybe even create highs. But of course, 1.40 is a great target. But let's start zooming in a little bit. So is this pullback enough? So again, you can see on the daily time frame, we had this massive sell-off followed by a big buy, okay? That also broke structure because the market closed above the previous major lower high right there. And right now we're in this kind of a pullback phase, okay? So again, always drop your FIP. Where are we right now? We still haven't dipped below the 50%, which is something that I don't like too much, okay? I would really love to see the market pull back a little bit lower on GU personally. But what we have this week, of course, the community crushed it, as always, on GU this week. Shorts, shorts, shorts. Right here, I was actually monitoring this big sell to buy, again, that broke structure. And the market tapped inside right here and gave us a beautiful reaction. And basically, this is a beautiful buy right here. So that would have been a beautiful loss. Why? Because the market was again moving down, push, pull back. This is the major lower high. Then we pushed into the lowest and we created that same formation. A massive sell followed by a big buy that also broke structure. Why? Because we have a body close above the most recent major lower high. So basically, then the market pulls back with quite some strength. So guys, if you see this candle, you don't want to buy it, okay? And if I drop to a time frame lower right now, I can assure you that there wasn't an entry even. So this loss could easily be avoided, okay? And with today's news and with today's volatility, after the creation of a lower low, right now we're headed a little bit higher, okay? But still, where is our major lower high? It is this one right here. So the biggest thing for me right now is to see how the market is going to respond from this lower high, okay? We have a couple of hours until the market closes. Are we going to close above it? I don't think so. But for next week, I want to see how the market is going to respond from this level. Because as I told you from my hard time frame analysis, I still do think so that GU might have a little bit of a move to the downside. A room, not move. Okay. So let's see. But basically how I'm going to approach it is dropping to the hourly time frame and seeing how the market is going to respond from here. Okay, I see a lot of bullishness, but this is of course the news. EU had a massive run, the DXY had a massive flush, so that is perfectly normal. But as the market comes in right here, if it starts to accumulate, break structure, and then potentially continue, that will be lovely. Also keep in mind that newly created demand right here, which is not yet a confirmation because we haven't had a break of structure above. But of course, the market might give us the sell, but then it might stop right here, reverse, and create some bullishness. Okay, and go with that overall weekly trend, which still hasn't given us the 50% pullback, but we have tapped into some pretty important levels right there on the left. So maybe even the pullback just a little bit above the 50% could be enough. So guys, let me know in the chat. What is your bias on GU? Do you think we are actually reversing from this phase? Are we going to 1.40, meaning to the moon, or are we continuing to go lower and maybe pull back a little bit lower? I'm really interested to have a look at your view, so let me know. Going to GJ, which is not again the best pair to trade right now, but of course if you're just intraday trading, that is perfectly fine. And as you can see, a massive bearish engulfing candle right there with all the bearishness on UJ. And as you can see, we kind of opened up right here, we chopped around, and then on Thursday and Friday were actually the biggest movers on GJ. But basically right now, it's one of those pairs that I do not know what is happening, okay? Basically, we have this massive move to the downside and we have this massive pump up. This is more proper to look on the daily. If this was our major lower high, it was never broken, okay? Push, pullback, lower high, but the market never made the lower low. It created this sort of structure, which is not major because after this kind of hard low, we didn't break higher. Okay, so basically right now we have a triple top and massive momentum to the downside. So again, GJ, in terms of the bias, I'm not entirely sure, but the most recent price action right now is telling me shorts. We accumulated to the top, and right now we're having a massive push to the downside that broke the most recent higher low. Okay, so what I'm going to be looking for GJ is to have a little bit of a pullback, lower high formation, and a continuation lower. Of course, make sure to drop your FIB as the market creates a lower low. Drop your FIB, wait for the market to tap above the 50%, and that is where is your highest probability for shorts. In this case, always look for the long scenario as well, which could be somewhere right here, because again, we have this formation, the big sell-off, and then followed by a big buy. Okay, so possibly the market can find some sort of support right here. Maybe we can shift structure up, we can take some longs, but as long as it comes above the 50% of this range, maybe then our range is going to look like this. I'm going to start taking profits. Okay, so we could have some shorter term longs, depends on the price action, but I'm going to be focused on taking shorts for the week ahead. So let's see, of course, let's see how it's going to develop, but this is the current situation on GJ. GA, it's one of those pairs that I'm going to advise you to wait for some clear price action right now. Okay. We tapped into supply, we respected supply the 9th of August, then we pushed to the downside, pull back, push. But right now we're failing to break demand, or this is more like a supportive level. Okay, so we tapped inside, pull back, maintaining a little bit of lower high formations right here, but still failing to break lower. So for me, this pair is a little bit messy, so I would actually step aside. And of course, GA is a pair that I've never traded, so I don't know why I keep breaking it down. But of course, for me, a great opportunity will be a clear break below this level, stay below, pull back, lower high, a continuation lower, or of course, some clearer price action. Okay, because right now to me it's not entirely clear, but if you of course drop to the hourly time frame, you can always find opportunities, and the behavior of GA is pretty peculiar. So if you want to actually trade this pair, make sure that you study it well first. Euro GBP, seeing some bullishness kicking in right now after a big bearish engulfing candle. The market created this low right here, the weekly low, and then we started pumping to the upside. Does that mean that we're reversing? Nope, because right now we are potentially about to tap into the daily supply. Have a look, we had this massive pump to the downside. Right now we're initiating the pullback, which means that we're potentially traveling to the 50%, which we're already above. So potentially, let's see if next week actually we're gonna have a short setup on Euro GBP, which means a long setup on GU. So usually I advise you to pair those two currency pairs together. Okay, so basically you can see that GBP USD is showing us some bullishness, while Euro GBP is also showing us some bullishness. So that means that you have to work a little bit with the correlation. Euro GBP is usually a combination of GU and EU. Both of them are pushing higher. So this one is kind of, yes, pushing higher as well, but not entirely. So let's see. But in terms of technicals, this is a short bias market as long as we remain below this daily lower high. Okay. In terms of the 4 hourly, we're having this most recent shift, but that is normal. Okay. But I look at this pair more for the correlation purposes. Okay. For GU and Euro GBP. But right now, yes, we're having this kind of big range. I taking this big range because just marking it like this doesn't make too much sense. It broke structure to the upside, so we can potentially look for some shorts right here, then potentially to look for some longs right there, and just to flow with the market and just see what happens. Okay, I am gonna be looking for a confirmation entry right here simply because I do not find any clear supply areas on the 4 hourly time frame. So as well, I'm just gonna be looking for the market to tap inside, then I'm gonna start dropping to a lower time frame and wait just for the market to show me that it wants to shift to the downside, okay, before taking a short. So that is my view on Euro GBP. Maybe some shorts from here, which is gonna boost the longs on GU. So if GU first gives us that little pullback to the downside, that means that Euro GBP is gonna give us that pullback to the upside, tap into supply, and then if this flushes, then GU is gonna explode and we're gonna be happy. Okay, so let's see how everything is gonna play out, and of course I'm really curious to have a look at your view in the chats. So make sure to let me know what do you think about the GBPs, especially GU, because that's one of my favorite pairs. Our golden boy is doing some mad stuff this week. So have a look at that big wick right there. And I do believe the market was actually headed to retest this unretested wick. And as you can see, the perfection of the market is that it actually never broke below this wick right there. Did it maybe by a little, but it was just like minuscule. Okay, but it never closed below this low. Okay, and we just grabbed that liquidity by this little flash crash or whatever they call it. And yes, right now we're potentially headed higher. Okay, so this little thing right here really disrupted the analysis. So right now I'm gonna allow it a little bit of time to actually see what is gonna happen. But in terms of the most recent price action on the 4 hourly time frame, we are currently shifting to the upside after this big wick right there. We kind of accumulated, pushed to the upside, broke the most recent lower high. And yes, right now we're headed higher with the news and with the overall sentiment of the pairs on this Friday, right? So yes, I am gonna give it some time for gold to see, but eventually I would love to see a little bit of a pullback, potentially around 70.50 or maybe even a little bit lower, and then to potentially see a continuation higher and to potentially target these little highs right there, which are kind of flat, which means that it's a great target right here. So let's see. I am kind of long on gold, and if I was actually on the charts at that time, and if I had like an investment option, because my broker does not offer the gold ETF, but I think that was also an amazing investment opportunity for gold because we might see it actually start heading higher. So let's see. Pretty exciting times ahead. The market is moving. I did not expect such moves on August, and I'm actually pretty pissed that I'm not trading right now, but it is what it is. Good months are also coming, so stay focused and make sure to also have a little summer break, okay? So gold, long bias right now, waiting for a pullback and potentially a shift, and really see that the market is potentially going higher. Not seeing entirely clear levels, so the thing that I'm going to be doing is look for the pullback and then to just potentially drop to time frame lower and look for some momentum entries. Because you can see, once gold starts to trade, it just trades. Okay, so you just have to get on the higher low formations and watch out for manipulative moves like this, big wicks, which are usually a great entry if you know what you're doing. Okay, so that's my outlook on gold as well. Let me know, where do you think is gold going? Are we going to be taking 80-30, or are we continuing lower? Is this going to be a lower high, or are we going higher? Let me know in the chats. Well, another bullish week on the indices, no pullback at all. We just had a little pullback right there and we continue making all-time highs. it is getting ridiculous. So as you can see, the market opens up yes, right here. This was actually a golden buy opportunity from right there, but I just wanted to see the market go a little bit lower. Usually I invest in the indexes, so this 0.65% drop wasn't enough for me. I was quite interested to actually see those areas being fulfilled, but actually I failed to follow the structure because we had a structure break above right here. Pullback, a very corrective pullback, a little liquidity grab. If you actually go to a lower time frame, you're gonna see that we have this little low that was taken beautifully by this big sell candle, followed by a big move to the upside, and that is when we actually kickstarted this huge bullish momentum. Okay, so US 30, nothing to say. He just keeps moving higher, and any pullback to the downside should be a buying opportunity until the market crash, which at this period, I don't know when that's gonna be. Okay, so keep buying, keep stacking. It's getting a little bit higher, and I would love to see a little bit of a crash, something like this as well. They do occur from time to time, so let's see if actually this week this is gonna be the case. Nasdaq, this one did not move too much, so I'm also gonna expect a little tap to the downside on this one, because you can see even from the highs we're starting to change the structure a little bit. So this is a little shift. Why? Because we pushed to the downside, pushed up, but failed to make a new higher high, and then we made a lower low. So that is pretty important. And right now we're also retesting the supply, because basically this right now is a supply, okay? Because we pushed to the downside and we broke structure lower. So I'm interested to see maybe even Nasdaq go a little bit lower. I would love to see around like 3 to 4% drop on this index to potentially see it later go higher. So let's see, this is a really good sign right there, this little accumulation and this little shift of structure, that we can potentially see some lower prices. So let's see if that's gonna be the case, or again, as always, we can have another bullish week, right? S&P, my favorite index, just keeps pushing up, bro. I can't stand it, but hopefully we're gonna have a little bit of a drop this week to potentially stack on some orders. Potential levels, it's not entirely clear. I see this big wick right there, which is quite interesting because it took liquidity to the downside, caused also break of structure to the upside. But of course, any pullback to the downside around 3% is a golden opportunity. Not to say if we actually reached around this area right there, I'm going to be going all in. So nothing interesting, just continues making all-time highs, and I cannot wait for a little crash. Bitcoin as well, pretty nicely, trending to the upside. Today just created a nice buy opportunity from right here. So expecting this one to continue higher. We are about to encounter a little bit of supply right here, which is at around 48 handle. So looking forward to actually this to tap, and just looking how the market is rising right now and getting into premium prices. It is just waiting to tap into some area and to give us a nice good pullback. Okay, so I keep drawing those levels, but they're not retested, and the market is right now starting to slow down. Like, have a look again, a little detail right here, a massive pump, almost no pullback, a massive pump, kind of a little slowdown, pump, and then we start having even double tops and even a little bit of bearishness. Okay, so it's running out of steam, and we can soon expect the market to pull back before potentially continuing higher. So let's see when that is gonna be. Always watch out on the left, right? And Ethereum, of course, is continuing to pop to the upside, almost at 33.00. So let's see when is actually going to be finding a supply. I usually look at that candle, which is kind of being tapped inside right now. So definitely expecting some profit taking on crypto. And if you also have a look, like, yes, it's starting to slow down. It is still in the demand market, but starting to accumulate, right? You can see the push here, the push here, and right now we're starting to slow down. Okay, so just think about it, and I do believe we're potentially gonna be having a little bit of a pullback. So make sure to stack up onto some profits. I'm definitely gonna try to do this weekend to take some out, but of course I'm in for the long term. I don't really kind of trade. Yes, I do it, but it's just more like for playing or for trading, just like a little speculation. So yes, guys, this is how I'm gonna wrap up this analysis. I think you might have thought that it's a little bit quick, but yes, I'm speaking very quickly right now because I'm rushing for somewhere as well. I can't wait to get home to my home station to actually get into trading. I have a lot of new ideas. I'm gonna also be revamping my course. because I traded 3 months of experience with the 1 minute on EU as well. So I have a lot of great things coming from my team. So make sure to actually check my private community. The link is down in the description. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe. And I cannot wait to actually get back into the markets to start providing more value. And yes, have a relaxing weekend, guys. And I wish you a crushing week ahead of you.